Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to Crendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Nighthaunt faction focus. So, I'm pretty excited about this one. I do play Nighthaunt, and I've played quite a few Nighthaunt games, so I'm pretty happy with what I've seen so far. So, we're going to go ahead, take a look. I'm going to give my opinion. That's what YouTube videos are all about, right? So, let's just jump right in here. There they are, Nighthaunt. I always thought Nighthaunt are really cool. I love that they're just ghosts and, you know, they're a very unique army in Age of Sigmar, I think. So here we are. We start with the battle traits. So Nighthaunt are typified. I almost said typified. Typified by their ethereal nature, which pays no heed to the sharpness of enemy weapons or the weight of their hammers. Even when attacks come that may break their spectral defenses, they will simply discorporate and evade the blow. So here we are. What is new? What is not new? So we have ethereal, ignore all modifiers to save rolls, positive and negative for friendly Nighthaunt, excluding Nagash. So this is the same as what it was. They've always ignored modifiers to save rolls, which I think is pretty cool. You know, you can't all out defense, but you also can't be rended, so all rend is just completely useless against Nighthaunt, which makes sense thematically because they're ghosts. So yeah. And then they have the reaction. Opponent declared an attack ability. You can use this for one command point. A friendly Nighthaunt unit targeted by that attack ability gets a 5+ ward for the rest of the phase. So I believe they currently have this as well. I'm like 99% sure. But something's telling me this is not going to be as good because it feels like command points are more important than they've ever been, right? And so it feels like taking your 6+ ward that you automatically get down to a 5+ for a command point just feels like a waste to me. So I can see this as like you're gonna get blasted by a warp lightning cannon and maybe you really want this thing to live, like that type of situation. That's when I can see this probably being used. Like, it's nice to have it, but it feels like going from a 6 to a 5 isn't insanely powerful. Like, I feel like it's not worth the one command point most of the time, but situationally it is. So this is all right. I mean, it's not the worst. Like, it's still a 5+ ward. And then we get to the big one. So once per turn, your charge phase. Numerous once per turn, your charge phases. Pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit that has not used an Aura of Dread ability this turn and that charged this turn. Use this ability, then pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of it to be the target. Number of models in the friendly Nighthaunt unit must be greater than the number of models in the target unit. And then you can subtract 1 from hit rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn. So these are all Aura of Dread abilities. You can see, well, these 3. The previous Aura of Dread was you cannot use Inspiring Presence near these, but now that Battle Shock is gone, you don't really need that anymore. And all these used to be based on what you rolled on a charge roll. So if you rolled a 10+, you could do Last Strike. If you rolled 4, you do 4 or higher, be -1 to hit, and then you'd roll like a 7 or something. That's when you got you took 1 away from their save roll, right? So now you kind of get to pick and choose, but it does depend. So again, pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit, is not used in Aura of Dread, and it has to have more models than the target unit. So you can't use this on a hero because most of the time, I would say the majority of the time, you're not going to have more models than the target unit. So this is Shriek. The keening walls of the Nighthaunt lodge a stake of fear within all those who hear them. So this is just your infantry become harder to hit, right? Then we have, I should have read this first. Friendly Nighthaunt units that are in combat can use charge abilities this phase. However, if a unit that is in combat uses a charge ability and the charge roll is 3 or less, that unit does not count as having charged that turn. So this one is pretty insane because you can essentially just be in combat and charge into something else. Like, you can just charge it. Like, I've seen people be like, the retreat and charge is gone. But this seems better. Like, you have the option here to roll, and again, it says friendly Nighthaunt units that are in combat. So this is just your entire army in combat. You don't have to pick or choose whatever. This is just Nighthaunt units in combat. So you could be like, hey, I have 4 units in combat. They're all going to recharge. And so if they roll a 3 or less, whatever, you're still in combat, right? But if you roll like a 7, you can stay in combat and you can pick one of these auras of dread to reapply to the unit you're in combat with, or you can just go charge something else because you're a ghost. You're like, I'm going over there, right? So this is pretty insane for breaking through lines. Because if somebody's got a front line, you just charge into that, and then if the next turn you're still in combat and they still got that thing they're screening right behind it, you just charge through it. You're like, I'm a ghost. So I think that's pretty insane. Plus, you can actually charge into something, weaken it, and then once you get to your opponent's turn, oh wait, no, you can't. I was thinking you can counter charge, but I realized this is your charge phase, so you can't actually do that. Okay, I was about to be insanely busted, but I disproved myself. Then we also have these ones. Pick a friendly Nighthaunt War Machine or Cavalry unit. So War Machine, I instantly just think of the stagecoach, right? The whatever it's called, the coach. Or Cavalry unit that is not used in Aura of Dread ability. Subtract 1 from save rolls for the target for the rest of the turn. So yeah, you can stun them and then they're -1 to save. This one's very good. To the point where I think this is probably my favorite one in the new edition as well, because save stacking's gotten worse, mortal wounds are harder to come by, and people aren't going to be able to save their units as well. So just being able to give a -1 to save seems pretty insane. Because you can charge in with this cavalry unit, give them -1 to save, and then charge in with your other units. Like, that's kind of the crazy part, is you can use this as the stun, as it's called, and then your other units come in, and pretty much all of your units then have +1 to their rend, right? So pretty wild. And then we have pick a friendly Nighthaunt hero that has not used an Aura of Dread ability this turn, and that charge this turn use an ability. Then pick an enemy unit within 1, and they are last strike. So the way I see this is you're charging with cavalry or the coach, right? The stagecoach. You're charging with a block of ghosts, the whatever infantry of your choice, and then you're charging with one of your heroes that probably hits very hard. And then, you're just stacking -1 save, last strike, -1 to hit. So you're harder to hit. You are hitting them harder, and they're not going until the end of the turn. So that's still a pretty wild combo. And then you're able to charge through stuff, making it even crazier. So, in the grand scheme of things, these battle traits are really good. I think Nighthaunt sounds really fun so far. So then we have the Deathstalker's battle formation. Friendly Nighthaunt units can use charge abilities even if they use run or retreat ability in the same turn. In addition, no mortal damage is inflicted on friendly Nighthaunt units by retreat ability. So this is kind of where they took the retreat and charge and put it into like a battle formation, which is the sub-factions from the old 3.0. And this is also good because, you run this with the stuff we just read, like, boom, there you go. You're having a great time. This is literally friendly Nighthaunt units. So, if you're running this battle formation, you can just do what you wanted to do anyway, right? Like, Nighthaunt unit, it's very generic. It's not like friendly Nighthaunt infantry or heroes, it's just units. So you're just running all over the place, charging, you're retreating, but I feel like a lot of times you don't even want to retreat, you just want to stay in combat. Depending, there's probably situations you want to retreat, but you can retreat, and then the following turn, it's your opponent's turn, and then you countercharge, right? So this is even stronger now because of countercharge being a thing. So that's even more reason to not use this command for a 5-up ward, because you need 2 command points, I believe, to countercharge. So you're like, why would I use a 5-up ward instead of a 6-up ward when I can just countercharge something and use one of these auras of dread on it and just completely destroy my opponent's tactics? Like, even just thinking about it, let's say the one battle tactic is like take your opponent's objective, right? It's like control 2 objectives and one has to be one you take, right? And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go walk onto your objective, and then you're like, oh, okay, so you just countercharge it, last strike them with like one of your hard hitting heroes, and then kill them. Like countercharge is gonna be insane. I mean, even I guess -1 to hit's kind of the worst one, but I mean, -1 to save and last strike are still insane. I mean, -1 to hit's not terrible, but either way. Moving on. Lore of the Underworlds. Pick a friendly Nighthaunt wizard to cast this spell. Visible friendly Nighthaunt unit that's 3 or more models and is wholly within 12 of them. Makes a casting roll of 2d6. Subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks that target that unit until the end of your turn. So this actually becomes very nice when you're pairing it up with the -1 to hit and all the other buffs. Now you're all of a sudden -1 to hit, -1 to wound, which, and then you're still saving on a 4-up because you're always saving on a 4-up. So that's pretty nice. And then you still have the 6-up ward for death on top of that. So I think really good stuff so far for Nighthaunt. Then we get to Lady Olynder. 8-inch move, 7 health, 4-up save, 2 control. She has the horrifying visage, 12 inches, 1 attack, 2x2s, 3 Ren d6 damage with crit auto wound. So ideally you roll a 6 to hit here and just auto wound. Most of the time I guarantee people are just gonna roll a 1 on one of these, because that's what happens with these 1 attack things. You're just like, here we go, and you roll a 1. Either to hit or wound. But having the crit auto wound for everything, which is another thing they used to have anyway. Now it's just kind of baked into the War Scroll abilities, right? But it's nice to remind you, instead of being like, what's my thing? Oh yeah, I'm always auto wounding on my crits. Now it's just every time you attack, you're like, oh yeah, I auto. Because I played plenty of people that forgot that you auto wound on 6s or whatever your crit is, because sometimes you can improve your crit, right? But really nice. Then they got 4 attacks, 4s/3s, 1 Ren d3 damage, 6 attacks, 4s/4s, no Ren, 1 damage, still crit auto wounding. These are mediocre melee weapons. You mainly want to hit them with the range, and you mainly want to use her other stuff, which is once per battle, your hero phase. Pick any number of friendly Nighthaunt units on the battlefield to be targets. For each target, you can return a number of slain models to that unit with a combined health characteristic of D3 plus 3. So, I mean, anytime you're bringing stuff back to life, very good. You know, that's free points. Then we have her passive, subtract 3 from control scores of enemy units while they are within 12 of this unit. Also very good, because as we know, like, objective control is going to be very important. I mean, it's already important, but it's going to be, you know, more important with people's control scores and stuff now. And then she also has your hero phase. The spell goes off on a 6. Ignore positive modifiers to hit rolls, wound rolls, and save rolls for the target for the rest of the turn. Which, 18 inches on a 6? That's pretty good. That means if anybody's got any, like, +1 to... They're trying to all-out attack. They got some, like, buff to their wounds they're getting. Maybe they're trying to all-out defense. They're just, like... They just can't do it. It's just like, well, that sucks for you. You're grief-stricken. Also, I realized that she is a wizard too, which, again, I have been seeing a lot more wizard 1s, so having a wizard 2 seems pretty strong. She also has a 4-up ward, so she's a 4x4, which is nicer. She's also an infantry, which is kind of weird. She's a hero infantry, okay. But yeah, she's a pretty cool support piece, honestly. I actually like Lady Olynder quite a bit. Then we have Reikenor the Grimhailer. So this guy used to kill wizards, and I believe he still does. So he's got 12-inch move, because he's flapping around on his big flying horse. 5 attacks, 3s/3s, 2 Ren, 2 damage. 3 attacks, 5x3s, 1 damage. Charge is +1 damage, so he's actually 3 damage on the charge. Crits auto wounding, obviously. And then he's got any hero phase. Pick either this unit or a visible enemy unit within 12 to be the target. Allocate 1 damage point to the target. So if you want to just do 1 damage to your opponent, you just do that. Or you can do it to yourself. If you picked an enemy unit, add 1 to casting rolls for this unit for the rest of the turn. Very nice. He's a wizard 1, by the way. And then if you pick this unit for the rest of the turn, you could add 1 to casting rolls for this unit and add 1 to this unit's power level. So you can actually make him a wizard 2 if you just do 1 damage to him, which is pretty good. Being able to cast another spell, like maybe there's a spell you really want to get off, and so you do that, and then, you know, next turn, I mean, you can keep doing that as long as he's got health, right? So, I mean, that's pretty good. Making him into a 2-cast wizard with +1 to cast seems pretty strong. And then you've got Wraithstorm. Pick a visible unit within 12 and inflict D3 mortal damage on the target. If any models were slain by this ability, inflict an additional D3 on the target. So that's a pretty cool one, being able to blow up some low wound models and just, you know, stack mortals on mortals. Pretty good. And then we've got Grim Justice. Add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made with this unit's Fel Reaper if the target is a priest or wizard. So I don't think it used to be priest. I think it used to only be wizards. I might be wrong though, but if this guy charges a priest or wizard, I mean, he's at 5 attacks, 2s by 2s, 2 Ren, 3 damage. And most priests and wizards are probably saving on 5s, if I had to guess. So not only are you auto-wounding on crits on 2s by 2s, but you are then doing pretty much anything is going to hit them if you hit, and then doing 3 damage, which most of them are going to be like 5-6 wounds anyway. So like this guy can annihilate some wizards and priests. This guy I think is going to be really strong, especially in the new edition where I think there's going to be quite a few wizards and priests. So I really like this guy as well. This one's one of my favorites because the Dreadblade Harrows, I have 3 of them, and currently they are a hero, and they have made it so they are no longer a hero. So now I can actually run multiples, so I can't just, because like I have 3 of them, so like why would I need 3 Dreadblade Harrow heroes? You know what I mean? So I just put 2 in a box, because I'm like, I'm never going to use these, but now I can actually use them. Crazy. 12-inch move, 3 health, so a little on the low side for health. 1 control, 4 up save. 4 attacks, 4s by 3s, 1 Ren, 2 damage. 3 attacks, 5 by 3s, 1 damage. So, okay. But the big thing here is if this unit charged this turn, add 3 to the control scores of friendly Nighthaunt units while they are wholly within 12 of this unit. So, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then he also has Phantasmal Discorporation. Remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all units. So he can just disappear and then pop up somewhere else, which is also very good because, as we know, you might not know, but there is a battle tactic about just controlling an opponent's terrain feature. So, I mean, say you save that one for like turn 3 or 4, and you charge this guy in, you make it so your, what do you call it? The thing from earlier. You charge him in combat with something else. You make it so the unit's -1 to save, right? And then at the next turn after this guy's done what he needed to do, maybe he helped you control the objective. You can then be like, hey, you know what? I don't need this guy over here. Like, he did what he had to do. He did the -1 to save. He gave us the objective control boost. We got the objective. I'm going to go get that terrain feature. And then, bloop, go get the terrain feature. Like, I can see a lot of really good plays coming from these guys. And now that I guess they're a unit of 1, you can probably run, like, a pack of 2. So I don't think you can triple reinforce anymore. So, I mean, you can run a pack of 2. I don't know if you even want to, but you can. So that's pretty neat. I mean, maybe you do. Just have, like, 2, like, on 2 sides of the board for controlling objectives, for doing -1 to save. Like, maybe. You know, it might be like 90 points, and you, for 90 points or something, you just charge this guy in to get the -1 to save. That's probably worth it. And then, you know, he's pretty fast. He can warp all over and help you control stuff. I mean, he sounds pretty good. And then we have the Myrmourn Banshees. 8-inch move, 2 health, 4 up save, 1 control. 2 attacks, 4s by 3s, 2 Ren, D3 damage with the auto wound crits, which, not bad, actually. I mean, you know, even if you're just getting 1 attack through, it's like 2 to 3 damage probably coming in most of the time. It's all right. But the big thing they have is right here. Spell Eaters. If a friendly Nighthaunt unit wholly within 12 of this unit was picked to be the target of a spell, this unit can use the Unbind ability as if it had Wizard 1. Add 1 to the unbinding roll for that ability. If the spell is unbound, inflict D3 mortal damage on the caster. So this used to be like you could like eat endless spells or something like that, but I think this is a lot better because you're essentially spell bodyguarding. I mean, you can do it for yourself as well, but like you can just sit these right by one of your heroes you don't want to die, and if they try to cast a spell at it, like your hero, they don't want to, they're just like, oh, I'm gonna try to, maybe somebody has a -2 to charge spell, right? So they're like, you know what, I'm gonna make it so your hard-hitting Nighthaunt hero is -2 to charge, and then you're like, hold on, I have my Banshees here, and they're +1 to unbind. Oh, I unbound you, take D3 mortal damage. All of a sudden, the wizard they had that's like 6 health is down to like 4. And they hurt themselves, right? And you're fine. You're like, all right, whatever. So I can see some really good play around the Banshees, even just having a pack of 1. And, you know, they do decent damage as well if somebody, you know, if you need them to go out and fight. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool unit as well. So, then they have some Spearhead stuff, which, again, I haven't fully looked into a lot of Spearhead stuff. I'm probably going to make a whole video about Spearhead, so... they do have the Knight of Shrouds, however, so these are usually the same as the actual Sigmar War Scrolls. So 5 attacks, 4x3, 1 red, and 2 damage, crit auto wound. That's about right. He's a foot hero with a sword. Pick a friendly unit wholly within 9 to be the target. They get a 5-up ward. So I imagine he'll have something similar to that in Sigmar, but I am actually really excited to do Spearhead. I was mentioning in the last video, I'm going to probably do some Spearhead games playing against myself. I think that'd be funny. I used to do like Sigmar stuff against myself, but it was like, it was too much to do. But with like Spearhead, I can probably play the small size games. It'll be easier to film, easier to move around, and it'll just, I can probably have some goofy fun with it. So I do plan on doing that. So that's Nighthaunt. Tell me what you think down in the comments section below. What do you think of the Nighthaunt faction focus? I think it's pretty good. I think out of all the faction focuses so far with Gits, Stormcast, Skaven, and Nighthaunt, obviously I think I like Skaven and Gits more as armies, but I feel like Nighthaunt was one of the strongest that we've seen. Like, that's just a personal opinion. I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, this sucks or something, but they seem pretty good, man. So let me know what you think down in the comments section below, and I'm gonna keep doing these as they release them because I love ranting about Warhammer. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya. Also, here's the Gits Skaven one if you want to go watch that one. Woohoo!